We resisted loyalty for quite some time because we did not believe in the early days, that giving away money for people to come back to your hotel was a sign of strength. We felt it was more like a sign of weakness.
Hello everyone, welcome back to the Travel Trends Podcast. I'm your host, Dan Christian, and today we are wrapping up our first ever loyalty series, which has been brought to us in partnership with our friends over at Loyalty Status Co. Now, last week you heard from their CMO, Aaron Murray, who gave us a fantastic overview of the loyalty landscape. And for those of you who are just coming to understand Loyalty Status Co., they are the team that is rewriting the playbook on status program management. They're the global leaders in status commercialization and the creators of the award-winning Status Match platform. They work with airlines, hotels, and even retailers to turn status into real value. You can find out more information about them at loyaltystatus.com or tune in to last week's episode if you haven't listened to Erin already. She was a key reason why I wanted to bring this series to life. And when we talked about the series, we looked at all the topics that we could cover and really decided that aviation and hospitality were the two focus areas. So we kicked it off with a regional airline with KM Malta. And today we have an exceptionally special guest. The CEO of citizenM, Lennert de Jong, has been running this company for nearly 20 years and turned it into one of the most successful global boutique hotel brands, which was acquired this year by Marriott. And in this episode, we discuss the origin of citizenM's loyalty program and what the acquisition means for Marriott Bonvoy members. And we get Lennert's invaluable insights on the evolving role of loyalty across hospitality. I actually had the privilege of joining Lennert on a panel at the Focusrite conference in San Diego this year. That episode will be coming out next week, so make sure you are subscribed on the streaming platform of your choice to be notified when new episodes go live. And also, we have just released all of our AI Summit sessions on our YouTube channel at Travel Trends Podcast. So I definitely encourage you to check those out. But let's continue our focus on this incredibly important topic of loyalty, a subject that I'm very keen to continue because there is so much to discuss in the world of loyalty, and you'll get a great sense of that in our conversation today with Lennert de Jong. So let's bring him into the conversation. Welcome, Lennert. So great to have you on the Travel Trends Podcast. Thanks so much for joining us.
Well, thanks for having me. It's great to be here today.
For sure. We were really keen to include you in this loyalty series. As many of our listeners, we've talked about airlines, we've talked about loyalty programs, and we really wanted to have hospitality and specifically citizenM. As I mentioned to you, Lennert, before we sat down to record, I'm a huge fan of citizenM. I've stayed in your hotels in New York and in Paris. And so I was delighted to meet you, to learn more about citizenM. And obviously, you guys have recently sold this company, as the CEO. But let's start at the beginning, Lennert. How did you get into this hospitality space to begin with?
Well, that's quite a long time ago.
Let's go right back to the beginning.
Let's go
the genesis,
back to the beginning.
Your origin story.
Well, believe it or not, it actually started with a loyalty program in a 5-star hotel in Amsterdam as a student.
To loyalty. Okay.
I was selling a subscription program for €500 a year to CEOs of Dutch companies, which gave them certain benefit, like 5-star hotels in the Netherlands. And, that's actually where I met some people. And then, I joined a small startup called Synexus in 2000 as one of the first employees in Europe, and led their European expansion till 2006 when I got recruited by citizenM. And after that, been part of citizenM. Left citizenM for 2 years to actually go to a hospitality tech company called Planet in London, and then came back last year to actually do this Marriott deal.
Perfect timing. Yeah, I noticed that actually when I was checking out your LinkedIn profile and just doing some research and preparing for our conversation, that you had a couple of years away, but you'd been there 16 years and then came back for, really this very important opportunity to see citizenM be acquired. Tell everyone about that. Fast forward now to what just transpired. Tell everyone about the journey you've been on this year to see citizenM be acquired and what the reasons were around that, because that also ties back to loyalty.
No, absolutely. And it's, I think from day one, distribution has been, like a big topic for any hotel organization. And we've grown from one hotel at Amsterdam Airport in 2008 to, now 37 hotels across the globe and in all the, the big cities of the world. And I've always been kind of jealous of like local hotel operators that have like all of their hotels, like 60 hotels in one country. And then you can do like a TV ad and you can really market, but, distribution becomes such a thing. And especially going to the US, like loyalty has been like a big topic for us. So, when Marriott, came around and, introduced themselves as a potential acquisition for our brand, right? So we still own all of our real estate and operation. It was absolutely something that, that we had an intention of exploring.
Well, I'm fascinated by this because I want to dive into the loyalty program that you created. And obviously, this is where loyalty is so important to airlines. It's incredibly important to hospitality. The idea that you gain status that you want to maintain based on the number of room nights. Lennert was also sharing with me that now that your loyalty program crosses over, you get Marriott Bonvoy Gold, which is at least 25 room nights a year. And people really value the benefits they get from their status, their points. And so let's talk about citizenM, because you built this incredible hospitality brand. That brand hasn't had the privilege of staying in one of your hotels. What was the concept behind citizenM, and then how did that relate to the type of loyalty program you implemented there?
Yeah, so the concept behind citizenM really targets a certain traveler, and this is what we started with a blank sheet of paper in 2006 when we said, okay, let's do this. And the traveler is a frequent traveler, and we looked at the frustrations that these people had. And what we did, we developed a concept around it. And the concept includes like very small bedrooms, but, highly designed, full of technology, a seamless check-in experience, really, really cool, like living rooms. But it all ties back together. Like if you think about a normal hotel, like half of the, footprint of the ground floor is for back of house staff. We have like a retail central operating model. So the entire footprint is actually filled with Vitra furniture. So it feels like you're walking into this Instagrammable 5-star hotel, but then you have a very small bedroom upstairs, which is highly functional.
Yeah.
And that actually gives us, this positioning of affordable luxury.
Yeah. Which I think the market was, you met the moment. The market was ready for this, especially with the millennial traveler. This idea of flash packers, that people that, they'll splurge on a hotel, so to me, the idea of like generator hostels and this movement towards upscale accommodation, targeting a younger but affluent traveler, and the idea of community for me is also what stood out. I mean, I was telling Lennert that one of the things I loved about the hotel in New York in Times Square was the rooftop and sitting up there and having a glass of wine. And like the idea is obviously people interact with each other staying at the hotel. So that sense of community, I think, at least from my point of view as a customer, seemed to be an important consideration, that, the types of people that stay at that hotel also then congregate there. They're working in the lounge area. So obviously you tapped into kind of the travel zeitgeist of the moment.
Yeah, absolutely. And, one of the things that, I don't think we intentionally solved for, but, like last night I was staying at our Los Angeles hotel, and, 9-hour time difference between Amsterdam and Los Angeles. It wakes you up in the middle of the night. And to have this public space where you can actually go to 24/7. And I was having a flat white at 1:30 in the morning. Then I went to the gym and I came back for breakfast at, 4:30. That is something that, that came as part of the package. Like there's a small room, but we don't want people to be in the room all the time. It's not like if you're in your house, like in your bedroom.
So true.
You have like a living room, and you meet with people, and there's like communal tables, and, the central bar that is constantly open means, there's people watching, World Cup qualifiers tonight in our hotels and public TVs. And, there will be a German room and a British room,
Yeah. Well, one of the things, too, that I thought was fascinating about the room experience was that since many travelers don't unpack, and a lot of hotels are designed, or the theory is that people get to their hotel, the younger generation are living out of their bags. And so, like, the focus is not on having places to store all of your clothes, because you basically make the small room incredibly functional.
No, absolutely. There's a drawer under the bed, and the biggest secret is, it fits an open Samsonite, right? So you can literally put your Samsonite in, open it up, and, just close it and it's gone, right? You don't need to unpack. Of course, you can hang a few shirts and there's that type of storage space. But yeah, you're right about that.
Yeah, it's so interesting. Okay, so let's talk about the loyalty program. So you obviously this incredible concept for the hotels themselves. Did the loyalty program, was it introduced at the same time as you launched the brand, or when did the loyalty program come about? And what was the messaging and the offering for the loyalty program?
We resisted loyalty for quite some time because we did not believe in the early days, that giving away money for people to come back to your hotel was a sign of strength. We felt it was more like a sign of weakness, like, we'll take some money away that we would normally invent in, put in the experience, and we give it to you to thank you for coming back to citizenM. We started, I think it was at the search of Google. So Google was dominating search. Booking.com was dominating Google, and we were dominating Booking.com. So we thought about like this cashback, type of program. Maybe I had some people over to, what you typically do. Then you ask some wise men from the industry. And back then, Arthur Kosten, the CEO of Booking.com, he was also part of the room. He said, Lennert, if you're willing to give like a 10% cashback to people for staying at your hotel, I actually advise you to spend the 10% on your experience. And you're probably much better off. So I would say the first 10, 15 years were about customer experience. But then we saw like distribution platforms, weaken towards the hotel industry. And it was more difficult to be getting the returns that you will be getting on the distribution platforms. And we noticed, especially in America, like all the book direct campaigns and, the American traveler, they're not going to Booking.com or Expedia. They're just going to be on Marriott.com or Hilton.com.
Right.
And that's where they book. So yeah, if you are in Austin, Texas, and Los Angeles, and if you're just waiting on Booking.com to throw you a dime, that's costing you a lot of, a lot of commission.
Yeah.
That is something that we had to solve for. So, we were early on in contact with the chains to see if we could do something else than selling our brands.
Right.
Selling our brand. And then through COVID, we came up with the idea of our own subscription program, which is not loyalty. It's a transactional thing, right? So you give us $100 a year, and we give you back benefits that you don't need to earn. You've paid for them. 50% discount. We heard, a lot of complaints about availability. We run high occupancy, so people could not stay at a citizenM because we're full.
Right.
So, okay, you know what? If you're part of this subscription program, we'll guarantee you a room. Right, and our revenue management systems were taking that into account. So sometimes, we would be, holding rooms for those people because we knew they would come on a Tuesday or Wednesday in London.
Interesting.
And so we thought about what are the perks, that were like us, worth launching. And then we launched a, paid subscription program called mycitizenM Plus in 2022.
And so when you launched that, so mycitizenM Plus, this is the part that I'm really intrigued to understand, and I'm sure our listeners are as well, is that clearly you are looking at your high-value spenders. Like introducing a loyalty program should ideally increase the lifetime customer value. And so you're either, you're genuinely building loyalty, so people are going to increase repeat, and they're going to stay with you each time because they're accruing points or they're getting discount, or as you just described, they're being guaranteed a place to stay. So that you're taking away the main pain point. So how did you set out to measure the success of the program, and what did that look like after 12 months or 24 months?
Yeah, I think there's a couple of metrics that were important for us. So first of all, like how many people buy the program. Yeah, we had certain targets in mind. So the first year we wanted to hit 10,000 paid subscribers, and we hit that.
Right.
We're right now around 40,000. But then we were also looking at what are the people, like how many of those are new, right? Because for me, it's not just about, if you're coming to citizenM every week and I give you a 15% discount if you pay me $100, it's like a no-brainer. Mm-hmm. But for me, it was about getting people that were thinking about using citizenM for the first time. How can you lock them in?
Right.
And we were triggered by other industries. I'll give you one example for loyalty, like a little theme park close to my house. I would absolutely maximum go there maybe once every 2 years with my kids.
Yeah.
And I went there, and it's like, $50 for the four of us in the family to go. And they offered a subscription, like for 120, you could go the entire year free of charge. It's like, ooh, this is interesting. And I instantly forgot I was not going to come back. It's like, if I come here 3 times, I'm basically taking full advantage of these guys.
Yeah.
I'm going to buy the subscription.
Yeah.
And that kind of inspired us to do like this hotel subscription, because we wanted people, to come to New York for your trip to New York. You see, you're spending $1,000 on 3 nights in New York. Actually, if I pay $100 right now, I'm making my money back already, and then I can keep using it.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. The other thing I think is really interesting, I think a lot of our listeners are likely familiar with Amazon Prime and the idea that you're going to pay for a Prime membership, which is going to give you free shipping. And obviously, Amazon has had incredible success with that program. Like, there's obviously a lot of great loyalty success stories. Costco is another great example of, they generate most of their profit from their membership fees, right? And so, and the other example, which is more of an American one, Restoration Hardware. You have to become a member from Restoration Hardware to access member prices. There's no thing, you're not actually going to buy anything at Restoration Hardware unless you become a member, because for the cost of it, and you're going to save $1,000 off that sofa, and it's only $200 to join for the year. The thing I wanted to ask you that I'm really intrigued by is that a lot of hotels, they try to get you to opt them in without a cost. So there's no barrier. Like, they very intentionally try and get you to sign up for free and then just get you on the treadmill of being the decision to charge, I think this is a noble one in many ways, but also likely probably key to the success, which is why I wanted to ask you the question. You likely had to weigh that up between, we could offer it for free and just let people start earning points, but you decided you're gonna charge an amount for it. When you now look back at that seems to be what seemed to me to be a critical decision that made the program successful. How do you look at that program compared to what else exists in hospitality?
For us, it was a fundamental cornerstone. And so I'm not judging any of the other loyalty programs, because, we are part of, the Marriott Bonvoy program now. And we sold our brand to Marriott mainly to, of course, expand, the real estate and have other owners also be able to franchise citizenM, but also to solve some of the distribution issues by becoming part of Bonvoy.
Yeah.
So I get the loyalty play, with the big chains. But if you don't have the skill, of the big chains, then you got to come up with something else. And there was a core psychological, thing that happens with Restoration Hardware, with Amazon Prime. If they would have offered Prime free of charge, and if you remember how Prime started, it was free shipping.
Yes.
Right, so you pay you $29 or whatever it was in the beginning, or $79.
Yeah.
You get free shipping. What they wanted to do is lock you in.
Absolutely.
And if it would have been a zero-based subscription, you wouldn't have been locked in because you didn't pay them.
Yep.
And so for us, like, anything that you get for free has little to no value. If you paid something for it, you're going to try to take as maximum advantage as possible. It's like a psychological effect of this transaction. And that's something that we evaluated. And we're not Netflix that you can use every day. We're not Amazon that you can use every day. We understand it. So what we did, we developed a base offer, and then you start expanding from it. Just like Amazon, it started with free shipping, and now you get free TV content.
Exactly. Yeah, that's so true. And that's why you said it's a cornerstone. It was a fundamental decision that ultimately led to the success of the program. And the other part I wanted to understand, when you look at the measurement of consumer spend. So after someone has now paid their $100, because the perfect example you just shared, obviously, was Amazon. Like, you hooked people with free shipping, but the reality is now they just defaulted to buying everything on Amazon because they got free shipping. So there's nothing you wouldn't otherwise buy because you've got Prime. So it became your just default. How did that work in your world? Because as you said, you're not like a Netflix and people. So in terms of room nights, obviously that's a measure of success for hospitality. Did you see that those people who are members, your high value clients maybe were doing 10 nights a year, and now all of a sudden, if you join the program, you were seeing them doing 20 nights a year? Tell us a little bit about those metrics, if you wouldn't mind.
Yeah, so without going into the details, because then I would be, making them up. What we measured was customer lifetime value.
Yes.
And for us, it was not lifetime. It's, I think, on a 2-year basis, on a chain level, like how much, revenue did we expect? And what we started to do, we started putting people in segments, right? So we had the segment called champions, right? So those were the people in the highest segment from recency, frequency, monetary perspective. And we started tracking, what's happening with the segment, but it's also what's happening with the average customer lifetime value of those people after they become a member.
Yeah.
And we've seen significant improvements, and not because they were paying more, because that's of course dictated by, the price of the room and the locations they choose, but by staying more.
Right.
So we've seen increases in room nights. I cannot give you the exact number, but we've seen significant increases in the customer lifetime value of the group that became a member.
And did the program evolve from the benefits that a member would accrue? Did you need to continually reevaluate the program year after year to try and figure out what else or even getting feedback too, Lennert, from members to say, like, actually, these are the perfect example you've already shared was the idea that you actually will be guaranteed a room in the hotel. So I guess my question is, and I'm keen to ask this just for our global audience, especially hoteliers and people in hospitality or anyone just looking to create a loyalty program, how much of it is getting it right at the word go, and how much needs to be evolved as the program goes on? So how much customization or iterations needed to happen to continue to optimize the program?
Well, the customization was by design because we knew you're not going to get it right straight away. So there's some perks maybe that people don't need. Some of them, they don't hurt, like a free late checkout. So we had to operationalize that. If I think you're going to stay in your room till 4 o'clock or 6 o'clock in the afternoon and you're gone already at 9, I would like to know you're going to use it or not, right? So we had to adapt a bit. And there's things that we introduced. There's things we plan to introduce. There's actually things we plan to introduce, like private benefits, over the next year or so. But then, of course, with the Marriott acquisition, that changed. But we pivoted quite a bit. Listened to feedback, introduced like food and beverage discounts, free co-working out of our spaces. And that also helped us grow to, the 45,000 subscribers that we have today.
We'll be right back.
Today, 65% of travel queries trigger an AI overview. If your brand isn't showing up there, you're losing bookings. It's that simple. This is the new reality that Propellic, the AI-first digital marketing agency for travel, helps brands master. Their entire focus is on delivering what matters, performance bookings, not just clicks. They've done the research on how AI is changing everything from search to purchase. You can find their groundbreaking new report right on their website. While you're there, join over 1,000 travel marketers by subscribing to their newsletter, The Navlog. Stay ahead of the curve. Visit Propellic.com. Travel has changed, but many multi-day tour operators are still stuck with spreadsheets and disconnected systems. Today's travelers expect more: choice, flexibility, unforgettable experiences without the friction. That's where Captio comes in. Built on Salesforce, Captio is the modern platform designed specifically for multi-day tour operators. From tailor-made trips to group tours, rail to river, we bring your itineraries, bookings, payments, and operations together in one seamless system. With automation, real-time inventory, and supplier integrations, we make complex travel simple so you can do what you do best: serve travelers, not spreadsheets. Check out Captio.com for more details. PayCompass is the leading merchant processor built specifically for the travel industry. PayCompass makes it easy for travel businesses to get approved with high processing limits, so operators and agencies can scale without barriers. They deliver some of the highest authorization rates in the industry, backed by powerful chargeback mitigation services that protect revenue and reputation. Plus, with tools like virtual cards, PayCompass helps travel brands manage payments smarter and more efficiently. Simply put, PayCompass isn't just a processor. They're helping travel businesses grow stronger and faster.
And now, back to the show. Brand with citizenM had the loyalty and affinity, but I know you also have gone through a rebrand to another star. So tell us a little bit about that journey. Is that directly connected to the Marriott acquisition, or were you already on the process of rebranding? Tell us a bit about that.
It's not a rebranding, but if you think about, we had a property company, an operations company, and a brand. right? We are still the property company, we are still the operations company, but we've sold our brand, right? So the intellectual property of citizenM is now with Marriott.
Right.
And it would be strange for me operating 36 of them to be still the CEO of citizenM. So at some point, just like the famous triangle in hospitality, you have a whole set of owners, you have a set of operators, and we are now an owner-operator. And, before we were citizenM, we were a company called One Star is Born as a project name.
Right.
And this is actually a reference to the legacy. We wanted to redefine like star classification by starting citizenM. And now we have an ambition to become another star. And, we want to become a star when it comes to, joint ownership and operation and being that best role model operator of the hotel industry, that people look at this company and says, you know what, there's no other company that's as efficient and as good in operating citizenM as another star.
Got it. Okay, that's helpful context. And then when Marriott acquired citizenM, and now obviously you're operating as the as another star, the citizenM program became Marriott Bonvoy. Is that correct?
No, it's still mycitizenM Plus.
It still operates on its own as well as...
And we operate it.
Oh, fascinating. Okay, that's one where I wanted to understand, because that's what I wanted to know, was how important the loyalty program still remains even as a result of the acquisition.
Well, I think, what we, in our conversations with Marriott, and those were really conversations. They were not like the big guys, swallowing up the small guys. It became clear that, the founder of the SPG program, David Fluck, who is now the head of Bonvoy at Marriott, was really interested in learning, through mycitizenM Plus, what like a paid subscription program does,
right,
if you start attaching Marriott to it. So,
sure, yeah.
We're not sure where it's going to go, but for the next year or so, we're going to, keep operating it and jointly look at this. So what can we learn? Now as a mycitizenM Plus subscriber, you get free Bonvoy Gold.
Right.
So I think about it, for $179 a year, you can straight away get to the gold status.
It's a great deal. Yeah, absolutely.
It's like, if I think about it, like I'm very loyal to my KLM Flying Blue program. It's part of SkyTeam.
Yeah.
Like I would choose a different route that takes longer to stay with these guys. But if United would call me and say, you know what, I'll do a status match.
Yeah.
I'll get you onto that Senator program, whatever it's called, just I think Lufthansa, but the highest tier, I might actually consider it.
Yeah.
But why not give me the paid option?
Yeah.
I've been like on the EasyJet Plus program for, when I was traveling out of Amsterdam for quite some time.
Yeah.
It's like, you pay a couple of $100 a year and you get all these benefits,
Yeah.
I would pay, for a lot of these loyalty programs, whether it's in the car rental sector or the airline sector or the hotel sector, to get to that higher level instead of earning it. And to some extent, Marriott and the other chains already have a way of doing it by the branded credit cards.
Yeah.
And it also gets you to a certain status. So we're in it as a partnership to learn.
Really interesting. I think that's one of the examples I can share with our listeners, since I'm over the course of this series, I've talked about being super elite with Air Canada. And one of the benefits is that I get to gift my wife her 50K status, so she gets all the benefits of the airport. But I also get Marriott Bonvoy Gold as well. Like, so I've got an offer to be, and I wouldn't otherwise be staying at a Marriott, but all of a sudden that has now influenced my decision making, because now I have gold status. I would not have achieved that on my own, but the fact that I've been now gifted that converts my loyalty over, because I'm very loyal to Air Canada, and now I feel a sense of connection to Marriott. So I love the status match. Obviously, Loyalty Status Co. is a sponsor of the series, but I genuinely love the status match concept. And obviously, the hospitality sector is, aside from airlines, I mean, what would you say? I mean, is it airlines, hospitality, and maybe car rental, like in terms of importance for loyalty programs within the travel sector? Because I'm assuming that the hospitality sector, like the loyalty programs, and this is more of a question for you, of course, is how important do you see loyalty programs in the success of hospitality companies?
I would say they go hand in hand. Whether the airline programs are more powerful than the hotel loyalty programs, I don't know. I mean, from my European perspective, in Europe we always laugh a little bit at the Americans, like with all their points and cashbacks and these type of things. The only loyalty programs you really understand in Europe are the airlines,
right?
Because they're so dominant, and that's something that you can clearly see. But I don't know, like how many members. I can imagine.
Right.
I know Marriott has like 250 million.
Right, exactly.
How it compares to United or American Airlines, I wouldn't be able to tell you.
Yeah.
You probably need to ask an airline guy about
For
it.
sure. No, I'll put some stats in for our listeners when we summarize this series, because I think this is the first time we've focused on loyalty in our 6 seasons, and I think there could be a Travel Trends loyalty series unto itself to continue to explore this topic, because literally, as far as I'm concerned, we scratched the surface with the 3 interviews, and obviously I'm thrilled that you're a part of this, but I think that we could dive more into just hospitality. So tell us
But I'll tell you one thing, Dan, on this.
Please.
Because, whether the total numbers, they might be less relevant, but what the numbers mean to you. I mean, we've only been live on, Marriott with some hotels for a couple of weeks, but the amount of people that has never, ever considered citizenM before are now staying at our hotels.
Right.
I was triggered, actually, and I'll give you this little anecdote. When we were opening Seattle, just before COVID hit, I was in the Moxie in Seattle, because our hotel wasn't open yet, and I was sitting at the bar and, with my laptop open, working on stuff, and a typical, American scene, couple of people next to you ask, what do? You don't look like from here. I said, well, I'm from Europe, work for a hotel company. And they said, what kind of hotel company? He said, it's called citizenM. You wouldn't know it. You're staying in a Moxie. And they said, well, we're interested. So I was working on a presentation for the Amazon travel manager. I said, well, I could do my presentation for you and show you some, some pictures of how it looks and the concept and the problems we solved. And I ended up doing a keynote for like 25 people in the bar in a Moxie. And they all loved it. And they were so complimenting. And I really felt it, like, really genuinely, it's like, we would love to stay there.
Yeah.
And then the question came, is it part of Bonvoy?
Right.
No, it's not. So, well, that's too bad. We're not going to stay there. Bummer. We'll still stay at the Moxie. Yeah. And I think that tells you about the power of the loyalty program. If you are willing to give up on something that you say, wow, this is fantastic, it really looks cool, and stay at the hotel that's maybe less cool, it's still cool, but less cool, then the loyalty program is working. Yeah,
that's fascinating. That's a really, that answers it, because it's like that. If all the evidence points towards this is a great concept that you should take a part of, but the hard no is it's not part of the Marriott Bonvoy, because that's the gateway. And if so now that you are part of it, and I know you can't speak on behalf of Marriott Bonvoy, but obviously you're starting to see the benefits of the integration. What do you think is the future of hospitality and loyalty, like going forward? Like, obviously you've pioneered a concept with the hotel brand, had enormous success, and are now on this next phase of your journey with these businesses being integrated. So coming to understand what you know about Marriott Bonvoy, what you've already built. And again, I know the journey is just, getting started, but what do you think the next 2 to 3 years looks like? Do you think loyalty programs are only going to increase in importance? Do you think they'll maintain their level of importance? What is your view for this category in this space?
I think in this industry, there's always people that are saying, things are going to die, like including loyalty programs and GDS systems.
Yeah,
and I've been part of this industry now for 25 years, and they've only become more important, and the GDSs are still there. So I think if I can, from a little bit from the inside, can see what, for example, Marriott is working on to become this platform. And it's a platform for people that if you commit to it, there's all kinds of experiences, and whether it's safari camps in Africa to like JW experiences, and there's some really, really cool experiences that are part of it. And now they're like Beyonce tours and Formula One tickets. And if you want to be someone in the program, you gotta consume, right? You gotta stay at the Marriotts and get your points and do the credit card. And I can only imagine that becomes more and more important.
Yeah, no, and that's you pointed a couple of interesting things there, which is like how these loyalty programs are expanding beyond what they're originally intended to do by almost getting into the world of credit card loyalty programs where you can redeem for experiences, and so it extends beyond just being able to stay at the hotels. Now all of a sudden you want to be a part of that network, and they're going to continue to offer new benefits to you. So
it's the new role of the brands, if you think about it. And this is not just anymore about, let us tell you what soap to put in the bathroom, but they've become a good operator, right? So they know about hotels, they care about hotels deeply. That's like, if you think about the legacy of Marriott, that's in their roots.
Yeah.
But then at the same time, they're a big platform, where supply meets demand.
Yeah. Well, given that likely a lot of our listeners are, and I always try to channel them to think about what questions they'd want to ask. And one of the things that I would think is on people's minds, especially the people that are listening to this that are in the hotel space or trying to figure out loyalty programs, because you, obviously our conversation started with the fact that you were, I won't say late to the game, but you hadn't made a commitment to loyalty programs. You were still, and then eventually you decided to, and now it's been a key part of the success and the ongoing evolution of the business. For someone who's starting out and asking themselves, do we need a loyalty program? Because I've seen this in the large travel companies where the loyalty program is we offer great service and we offer a past passenger discount, and that's why people come back. And we don't want to go down the path of creating points and miles because it's complicated. Then you have liability on your balance sheet, and so there is a lot of complexity to that. But my view is also loyalty doesn't have to be that complicated either. So I would love if you wouldn't mind, Lennert, sharing a few bits of advice from the journey you've been on for someone out there listening to this that is trying to decide, do we need a loyalty program, and what the first steps might be in evaluating how they might go about building one.
I think in today, and I'll come back to the distribution world, in today's distribution world, it's not about starting a loyalty program. Forget about that. Like if you're a small hotel company, you're never going to get to the scale, but join one. Right, because it's literally, if you think about the decision that people take, and we see this every day. Like when we opened our Times Square property in 2014, I remember sending an email to the CEO of Booking.com, Gillian Tans, who's become really good friends over time. So we did it again, right? So after the first week being on Booking.com, we were the number one on Booking.com in Manhattan, and our first month was at 95% occupancy at a price point over $300.
Wow.
Those were the times where you could debate, do I really need a loyalty program? But those days are gone. You cannot just open a hotel in New York and be the number one on Booking.com without paying them a shitload of extra commission and get that ADR and that occupancy out. It doesn't work like that anymore. So in today's world, and we literally see this, you can choose and think about this. If you travel in Europe, sit on an EasyJet flight versus sit on a KLM flight or a Lufthansa flight and look around you. In KLM, people are happy to pay double the price of the EasyJet flight. Well, it gets you from A to B, right? And it might get you, one free cup of coffee, a water, and some cookie. But that's about it, right? Why do people pay double? That's because, they're part of the program. They're happy to participate. And that's what you see. If you want to get higher ADRs, if you want to get more profitability, you gotta be available for those people that really, really care about their loyalty programs.
We'll be right back.
Got clients who want to travel, but none of their friends can? Meet WeRoad, one of the hottest travel scale-ups, named by Financial Times-backed Sifted FT 2 years running among Europe's fastest-growing startups. They create community-driven small group trips, where about 90% start solo and come back with new friends. All departures are coordinator-led and easy for advisors to package because flights aren't included. You own the air and add-ons. Their trade program brings competitive commissions, flexible holds, and toolkits. Go to www.weroad.com/welcome-travel-advisor. Travel has changed, but many multi-day tour operators are still stuck with spreadsheets and disconnected systems. Today's travelers expect more: choice, flexibility, unforgettable experiences without the friction. That's where Captio comes in. Built on Salesforce, Captio is the modern platform designed specifically for multi-day tour operators. From tailor-made trips to group tours, rail to river, we bring your itineraries, bookings, payments, and operations together in one seamless system. With automation, real-time inventory, and supplier integrations, we make complex travel simple so you can do what you do best: serve travelers, not spreadsheets. Check out Captio.com for more details. In a world of endless travel options, how do you guarantee quality? The answer is curation, and it's the core of Civitatis, the leading marketplace for global tours and activities. Instead of just more options, their promise is more quality. Their experts handpick the best from over 90,000 activities in 4,000 destinations worldwide, ensuring every tour meets the highest standards of quality, availability, and price. They focus this winning strategy on capturing the world's fastest growing customer market, travelers from Latin America. By connecting these travelers to their global portfolio of experiences in native Spanish or Portuguese, Civitatis creates the powerful customer loyalty your business can count on. Their model is a proven formula for generating massive demand and driving industry-leading conversion. For the travel trade, the message is clear. Partnering with Civitatis is your strategy for capturing the massive outbound Latin American market and turning their growth into your revenue. Visit civitatis.com for more details.
And now, back to the show. Given the importance of hospitality and loyalty, what do you see customers are, what appeals to them most? What are some of the things that are moving the needle outside of, like, so if they join a loyalty program, to your exact point, that's a really fascinating viewpoint, which is like, don't create your own, participate in another one. So if they're now participating in one, clearly there's additional benefits for their members now to redeem other things. So what are some of the things that drive that behavior? You mentioned experiences. Is it more travel options, or are there other things that seem to incentivize people to remain loyal? What are some of the rewards that people that you see, like, that they take the most value in, or where are their interests expanding to?
I think people need to know that they're taken care of wherever they travel. And so this is especially, depending on where you are in the world, this might be more or less relevant. But Americans that are going, to European cities, they rely on something they recognize. And if it's endorsed by Bonvoy, they'll be happy to stay at it. This is why McDonald's expanded, right? It's an American that goes to Paris and wants to eat something he knows, right? So that core principle is still there, even though you could argue, like, with the reviews and everything, the full transparency on social media, you no longer need this brand endorsement. But I do see a lot of people that are just knowing that the commitments that Marriott makes, and when I speak with Marriott, but it's the same about the other brands. Yeah, they're pretty solid. Yeah. If you think about the level of checks, like on health and safety and IT security and the compliance that we had to go through. Yeah. Like, you don't know if you're going to go to some, 80-room hotel in the center of Paris if they have proper smoke detectors, and when was the last time they were checked if your laptop is going to be hacked if you join the Wi-Fi. Yeah. And so I know there's a lot of criticism on, the big brands, like, you have 30 brands, like, how serious are you taking brands? But that's just providing optionality. Like, if you like citizenM, well, you can now stay at citizenM. If you like a JW type of white glove experience, it's there too. If you want to go on safari in Africa and get, the treatment, we have it too. So, yeah.
Well, you brought up a really important point that we should definitely cover, which is technology and AI. And Lennert and I had the privilege to be on a panel together, so it's fantastic to meet you in person and also see you on stage and join in that discussion. And I know you had some strong views about technology in the airport experience, and also how AI will change things. And clearly, you know a lot about your guests, and Marriott knows that much more about their guests. When you think about how technology can be an enabler, and especially AI, what are you seeing as some of the initial use cases as it relates to hospitality, loyalty? Are you seeing examples, or have you guys been utilizing AI in some way to help improve your programs or the guest experience? I'd love to get your take on that.
Absolutely. I think we've been, wondering on the distribution topic, which is happening, beyond your control. Like, how are people going to use AI? So let's park that discussion for a moment. But we've had, two AI types that have been really successful for us. One is on the back office, like automating tasks. So why have humans do what the computer can do? And we already done that before AI with robotic program automation. If you think about a central operating model, like, every day we got to charge a couple of thousand virtual credit cards. There's still people at the front desk to do it manually. At citizenM, we have bots going around, and they charge all these credit cards at night, and they give you the exceptions, and you no longer need people to do that. So we've been automating everything that can be automated. We've been doing that since our inception, but we've also been putting AI in on the consumer-facing end. So at the moment, if you put in a comment or a question through Booking.com or Expedia, like, almost 100% of those comments are answered by AI. Right. There's not a human being that does it anymore. Yeah. So to give you an idea, Like a typical hotel, you walk in, say, can I see the reservations office? And there's 3 or 4 people for a 200-bedroom hotel that are, picking up the telephone if you call the hotel.
Yeah.
We have 22 staff for 37 hotels that do 24/7, all incident management for all hotels, plus all customer-facing B2B handling. Right. So that's
incredible.
Yeah, it's like superpowers.
Yeah. So obviously massive cost reduction and like major efficiency gains.
And mass, customer satisfaction.
Yeah.
Right? Because what's the chance you think, if you ask something on Booking.com or Expedia that the hotel will get back to you?
Yeah.
It might be 50-50. And if you get back in 5 minutes, that's, makes you happy.
Yeah.
If you send us a WhatsApp, can I get my invoice? There's a bot answering it and you get it.
Have there any been use cases you've seen yet where AI is actually being leveraged to improve loyalty? Like you looking at that propensity of consumer booking or behavior, because obviously I'm sure there has to be applications of that with using some of these large language models to look at all that data and try and make recommendations. Have you been seeing that yet? Is that something, or you think that's to come?
I think that's to come, honestly.
Yeah.
We've done quite, of course, some research, and we have a big data warehouse, and we try to become predictive of, when people are churning, they're not coming back. But I would say the scale of operation with 36 hotels, and sometimes you would call someone, say, we miss you. We're a champion. Where did you go? So, I was a consultant. That's why I was staying at your hotel every week. And now I'm no longer a consultant. So I don't need the hotel anymore. I still love you guys. And I would always stay at the citizenM, but I'm not there anymore. So I think, when it comes to AI, probably agentic AI. If I look right now at, especially with Bonvoy, Marriott is quite a powerful CRM where, you can look up anyone that's going to stay at your hotel, and you can see their history, you can see their complaints and some of the issues they had, the typical behavior, the service they require. But that requires someone to look at it, right?
Sure.
So I'm already thinking about the use case. Okay, what do I need to know about them if you're going to stay at my hotel? Beyond the obvious that you're titanium elite or gold. I just found out on Marriott, but maybe the returning item is that you like 2 extra non-feather pillows in the room. AI can pick that up from your profile, can put it into our system and make that an action. Please, can somebody put 2 extra non-feather pillows in the room?
Yeah, that's fascinating. Well, I'm keen. I'm obviously very bullish on AI, but I'm kind of trying to strike the balance between what can be automated and where technology serves a human benefit and where the human connection is still important. So I'd love to finish off. I want to make sure that people know where they can, obviously connect with you, learn more about what's ahead for citizenM and also Another Star. But just if you wouldn't mind sharing what the plans are for you guys in the next year or two, as this, the next stage of the company now, because obviously you're on the next stage of the journey. What does that look like in the next year or two? And then obviously, most importantly, I'm keen to make sure that people can reach out and connect with you after this.
No, absolutely. Feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn. Sales pitches might be, sometimes ignored. I always see them, but it's quite busy on that. But no, if you want to have a conversation, always feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn. What is next for us is the next year or so is just the consumption of our Marriotts with Marriott. It's a big transition for us. It's a big change. We need to get used to these loyalty systems, new technology. And really maximize that, right? So for us, we're going to maximize the impact that Marriott's going to make for us.
Yeah.
For the assets that we own, and then we'll take it from there. We'll see how that looks like in a year from now, and for sure we'll be there for Marriott when they're expanding citizenM. They have huge plans. They want to get to over 100 citizenMs over the next couple of years. So. There might need some help on that.
Yeah, no doubt. I'm just thrilled to hear that the citizenM journey continues. That's the part that I was, I guess, slightly concerned about when I read the news, and then when I was, keen to meet you, have you on the podcast, because as we started, I'm a huge fan of the brand. So I love that story continues, and hopefully it just strengthens the loyalty program. The hotels continue to expand. I will definitely redeem my Marriott Bonvoy Gold now and see how that applies when I make my next citizenM booking. But it's a real pleasure to meet you, Lennert. I've thoroughly enjoyed getting to know you, and I'm really excited to see how things evolve for you in the next couple of years. And anyone who has not stayed at a citizenM, take the opportunity, because it is it's like on You have to experience it to understand it, and you will be absolutely delighted with the experience. So that's my kind of big takeaway. So thank you.
Thanks, Dan. And maybe on the afterburner on that topic, I got a lot of these questions, and I had to type to quite some people on LinkedIn that had an opinion about Marriott acquiring the citizenM brand. Marriott did not acquire much as they've ever done to destroy it. Right. They saw the equity that we build up. And they're going to be great guardians. We are still the largest owner operator of these citizenM hotels, and we'll be around. But Marriott's going to do a great job of it.
Well, sounds like a very bright future for you and the company. So yeah, I wish you continued success, and look forward to keeping in touch.
Thanks, Dan.
Thanks so much for joining us on this first ever loyalty series on the Travel Trends podcast. Thanks again to the team over at Loyalty Status Co. for sponsoring this series. Special thanks to Aaron Murray and Mark Ross Smith for their support and also their involvement in creating this series. I love the fact that we had aviation, hospitality, and the chance to speak to Aaron. And today, of course, we finished it off with the CEO of citizenM, Lennert de Jong, and he clearly knows his stuff when it comes to hospitality and especially the world of loyalty. It was really interesting for me to hear about the origins of their program, especially given their reluctance initially to implement a loyalty program. And then when I had the chance to ask him about those hoteliers out there that are considering implementing a loyalty program today, I thought it was fascinating to hear his answer, which is don't create your own, partner with another. And so this is a topic I'm definitely keen to continue to focus more on. So feel free to send us your feedback. You can send me an email, dan@traveltrendspodcast.com, or comment wherever you're seeing this being posted. And we continue season 6 next week with Captains of Industry. We're going to have Travis Pittman, the CEO of Tour Radar, joining us before we kick off 2 more series, one on sustainability, and then our final series on season 6 is going to be on aviation. So actually a good tie-in from our loyalty series. And we're just in the final stages now of planning out our content for season 7, which will start in February of 2026. If you have suggestions for topics or speakers, feel free to reach out to us. If you're looking to partner with us in 2026, now's the time to let us know. So feel free to get more information at traveltrendspodcast.com. And don't forget, we do post clips and highlights from all of these conversations on our social channels, which you can find on LinkedIn, Instagram, and YouTube. And we do send out a monthly summary of all of our episodes, which will include this loyalty series. And you can register for that at traveltrendspodcast.com. Thanks again for joining us. And until next week, safe travels.